morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland, and I am your Sensei Al Bob, your griot, and don't believe a word I say. So I just want to show you my commitment to you guys. Last week, I was coming down here. It was like really, really snowing, and it was one sunny day, but the snow and ice was everywhere, and I had my trusty broom to brush it out of the way. And what I'm going to show you, I just videotaped like 10 minutes ago. Um, but I'm showing it to you just to show the stair that I took a header off. And I went flying through the air. Here we go. Not consistent enough. And the railing is like 2 feet off where it should be. And I just wanted to show you this to my commitment to you guys, because I came down here and I was brushing off the ice and snow, and I got to, so like, this is a good example. See how that's it's like suicidal, right? I mean, whoever put this together was on crack. So I came right here, and I was just about to get down, and I hit a piece of ice, and I did a somersault. And I was carrying my laptop like I am now, and I placed the laptop, this guy, took it off of my shoulder, and placed it on the ground over here, and did a somersault, and then a handstand, and then I rolled down that hill. Instead of hitting logs and stones, I didn't. And so I didn't kill myself, right, or break any bones. I thought I was dead. When I came all the way down there, I came to rest in a pile of leaves before, I went right down there, and I went into a pile of leaves without, there's a cliff right there, and I stopped right at the leaves, and I didn't die. I just wanted to show you that. Yep, I didn't die. And what it really, so I hit this thing of ice, and I went, whoa! And I basically took my laptop off while I was in the air going around, took it off, and placed it on the ground so I wouldn't land on it and crush it, right? And then I took this hand like this, and I had this other hand out like that, and I did a handstand and did another flip and came on my side right about here. And I kind of landed on my hands in this big mud puddle, and I kind of skidded across the mud puddle and then rolled down that hill that you saw into a pile of leaves. And I didn't think about any of that. It all took about less than a second. It was all muscle memory. All my memories I tell you about living in Putney, Vermont with my sensei, Hey Fish. And, I learned jujitsu and Aikido, and it all, I didn't even think about it, right? I was like Yoda, when he's fighting the emperor in the constitutional place there. And that's a nice segue to what I wanted to talk to you about. This is on trial. And, I was just listening, to the hearings, and I got, oh, look, it's 222, right? I love it when it's synchronistic. And I was listening to all the stuff, and like this.
Presenting the defense for President Trump. We're going to hear next, it sounds like, from Attorney David Schoen. What we heard from that, Scott, was many of the things that we have heard in defense of President Trump so far, but the main one being Democrats do it too. And I'm not going to give you time to answer that, because we are going to go, it looks like Attorney David Schoen is about to begin speaking.
We will extensively fact check some of these arguments during the breaks in the trial. Absolutely.
It's unbelievable, right?
I guess we have a few more times to talk, because, again, a pandemic is still ongoing, and David Schoen is adjusting the law.
marched and fought, and we just have to. Well, we can impeach him every day of the week for anything he does.
So
And they know it now.
the,
Watch this.
the Democrats,
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we
And
going to
here, the Trump defense team is showing side-by-side video House Democrats played in their presentation with the raw footage of it. Of course, the Trump team is editing its videos as well, as we've seen earlier in this
Are we going to
presentation.
take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other
see,
than
they say he never
neo-Nazis
condemned them.
and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other groups.
I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly? I just didn't understand what you were saying.
There were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look,
Okay, I'm not going to play the hour and a half of, well, maybe I will just zip up here. I can edit, right?
I'm sure in that group there were some veterans. The following day, it looked like they had some. We're going to keep fighting.
So I'm telling all my colleagues, this is the fight.
These are all Democrats
What side are
speaking.
you on? Who are you fighting for?
They're fighting, I'm fighting. We're both fighting.
We will fight back. We're not going to just take this line down.
I'm just going to keep the fight up.
What we have to do right now is fight as hard as we can.
These are all Democrats.
Rise up and fight back.
And so we're going to fight, and we're going to continue to fight.
I am going to be now making our way through a good chunk of the Senate Democratic Caucus.
And
Bob
PBS
Kennedy,
keeps
Susan
talking
Gillibrand, Debbie
over
Stabenow,
it,
Chuck Schumer among the senators.
throwing in their little
And we have no choice but to do that.
propagandic
The right thing to do
point
that.
of view.
Fighting.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is both sides, this is like Mary Hartman. This is soap opera. You know, the Democrats, they didn't need to impeach Donald Trump because they knew at the end of the day, just like the other time, the first impeachment was like slow motion, right? This one is zing, right? And basically, like down to good people on both sides. Basically, everyone is playing their part to the corporate motif, right? The corporations own us, own the airwaves, there is no freedom, there is no spontaneity, everything is scripted. And this is all being put together because you think this is the last of that? No. There's going to be more uprisings, Black Lives Matter, and I don't even know what to call Donald, the Trumpists, and we are going to see a rash of laws passed. Already, states have passed this summer. About more than 20 states passed laws making it a felony to exercise your First Amendment rights. Right? Anything that could cause any kind of kerfuffle, you're going to jail. And if you go on the street, you're really going to jail, right? So, they don't want what happened in Hong Kong to happen here. But, it's not, because the sheeple are totally domesticated, totally controlled, totally, let's see, what does Fish say? Watch the Sun Live. Fish, do me a favor. Put your stuff in capitals, okay, so I can read it. And when you say watch the Sun Live, what are we talking about? I'm not of the school of of the tweet, no editing, just a tape of what's going on. Yep. No media input. Yep, exactly. And that's what we don't have. Everything is edited, And that's why I used to like watching C-SPAN. It was like watching paint dry. And that's kind of what our government is, right? And it's all white, everything is beige. It's beige paint drying, Ugh. Anyway, so I fell up those steps a week ago, and I didn't break anything. There's no black and blue. I didn't piss or cough up blood. But boy, do things ache. It's like, and it kind of moves around. But I kind of, these two, my rotator cuffs, amazing. I didn't break them. And in a lot of ways, that kind of knocked the dust off of my pipes. I got arthritis. And so everything kind of was, but after doing that, I can move things around. But, certain things ache. And my traps, right, the traps are back here, and the whatever, comparison muscles are here are like, they ache. Because I kind of landed on that YouTube channel. What does that mean, Fish? YouTube channel. Oh, it's a YouTube channel. Got it. And thanks for doing, putting it in big letters, capitals, so I can read it. I appreciate that. So, what you're going to see in the next, before July 4th, you keep hearing this term reset, right? And they are resetting the corporate motif once again. And it has been going on since Ball. If you go to my XRATTED, the Sun, the Sun YouTube, I will do that. And, I kind of try it, Legend right now. And the Legend you can get off of xratted.blogspot.com is like pretty old. I mean, it was like one of the first ones I was writing. Like I said, I write things every day on my clipboard, and then I can easily start a new document on this Chrome key thing without having to like put my finger on a thing and cut and paste. I can just jing it over there. So the two little things of Legend that you might be able to pull off of xratted.blogspot.com are like 60 versions from where I am now, and I'm not completely done, but I have edited and got completely comfortable with about 240 pages, and this thing's going to be about 340 or less, right? So I'm paring away now and writing connective tissue. And, I was stuck here for almost 2 weeks because we had so much snow, and now it's raining. I'm happy to see the rain rather than the snow, right? Because if I need to get out, I can. But it is a little bit muddy. So what you're going to see is that legislatures and the federal government will basically make, because the Democratic guys, put together a really nice, video, a nice, and you'd believe that everything they said was, Donald Trump is wrong. But the guys who are his lawyers, the Democrats took something like 16 hours, right? Well, Donnie's lawyers are going to take all of 3 because they're going to show you. I mean, I got it there. They had one lawyer. The first guy is kind of old and doddering, and he's the leader guy, and he's like pathetic, but he's playing pathetic. It's like the rope-a-dope, right? And that's Ollie's kind of thing where he would pretend to be on the ropes, and then he would jump away and just tire the other guys out and then whack them. And so they had the second lawyer, and he described the First Amendment rights to the T. And he took things out of the Constitution, out of the founding fathers. There's this guy named Wilson who wrote the book on the Constitution. He wrote, he helped. He was a lawyer who was there in Philadelphia the whole summer. So yeah, the boys, the ones we know, kind of put it together, but it's all in the details. And this guy Wilson wrote all the details, and he was really, really specific about getting rid of a president, and so that lawyer really read it, tooth and nail, and basically, you can see that Donald Trump cannot be, convicted of high, things and misdemeanors because it's not him, gang. This is my real thing. Love is on trial. It's not, Donald Trump is just a poster child. He was put there. He was placed there. He was manipulated. He had 10 years of being on The Apprentice to get his brand known. He was a complete failure, but they lit him nicely. You're fired, and people were sick and tired of the same old same. And they go, look, this guy's always firing everybody. He'll just fire, and then he, the QAnon moron shit. Excuse my language. And welcome to good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Dreaming Dreamland with your Sensei Al Bob. Welcome home to your griot's little perch here in the forest. And remember, don't believe a word I say, right? I am just a storyteller. That's what a griot is, And so I want to thank you all for being generous, because I'm still being warm on your generosity and your love, and I really appreciate that. And you can go to my The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, and I have my PayPal there, and I really appreciate everything you guys have done. I mean, some people just give $2, and it's like, but they gave me $2. And other people give me more, but anything you give me, it's like a miracle to me. And when I can find look, here are my car keys, that's a miracle to me. Oh look, why do they make these things black so they disappear? Why did they make it so you have to buy a bright box to put it in, right? So anyway, so here we are. So what really, what would really be great? I mean, these kids who, watched how the stock market is ripping everyone off, they decided to get back at the investment bankers. And they picked a real hound dog of a stock, and they just bought it and bought it and bought it. And the investment bankers were shorting it. I mean, shorting is like gambling. And so these guys were shorting that stock intensely, and millions of people bought a chunk of that and sent the stock through the roof. It went from $3 to $2,500. And so the guys who shorted it were lost, maybe billions of dollars. And that was the power of the people. And they were using their brains. They weren't being used, They were people rather than sheeple. And Plato said the power of humanity is in the people, not in the government, not in the rich people, not in the army. It's in the people. When you go see the movie V for Vendetta, England's got it locked down, and England is going straight up V for Vendetta, because America, you think you're locked down, man, those guys are locked up, jelly tight, and they put Boris, a jelly bean, a chucklehead in there, and he was going to be the swashbuckling guy who got us, Brexit, and we're going to be free again, and not really. They're locked down, they can't even, in England, I lived in England a good deal, and in England, they only live for their vacation. And he went on the air and said, I don't think this summer you can take a vacation. And we're like, say what? So they're pushing everybody's buttons in every which way. So there will be total wacko-ness this summer. And I said this, just before, New Year's Eve, I said, kids, here we are. Everyone's happy. 2020 is over, and it's been the worst time they ever knew. Well, I'm old enough to remember things way worse than this. I remember being in 5th grade during the McCarthy period, and the FBI came in and took my teacher away. And he was a war hero in World War II. He got Bronze Stars, and and he was a medic. He was my science teacher. He was a medic. He didn't shoot. He saved thousands of people's lives. And when the Chinese came over the thing, he didn't run. He stayed and kept hundreds of. He should have gotten a Nobel Prize and the big one that you get usually when you're dead, Congressional Medal of Honor. But no, and he never talked about it. But I knew a friend of his because he was a homeboy, and they grew up together, and he was a mechanic. His buddy was a mechanic, and my dad used to go get his car, the oil change there. And he said, "So Mr. Roberts is your 5th grade, your teacher, right?" I said, "Yeah." And he told me the story of him. And then a little while later, I saw the FBI come in suits and take him away. They handcuffed him and took him away. And they did that to thousands of people just because someone said that he was, in college, but he wasn't. His father had been a union activist, and he was trying to get the teachers to unionize, and that's why he was taken away. So, this ain't the worst times in America. I'm sorry. And I was with my dad in D.C. once, and this is how safe, I was, 8, and he had to go off and do the business thing. And he said, "Well, here, this is the mall, and these are all, here's all the museums. Here's the, why don't you go into the Smithsonian and look at all this science stuff. And at 3:00, meet me right back here, right? And here's my business card. And if I get lost, and here is my Air Force card, because he was in business, but he was still, in the show. That's why we were in DC. Anyway, so I was meandering around, and I kind of went the opposite way. I went kind of up into the Capitol, and it was like really the people's house. I mean, I went in there. The guy didn't even look at me because I had a nice little, Brooks Brothers suit on with a herringbone jacket. And I kind of walked in, and went up to the gallery and watched the Senate. And then I heard shots, and I just was like, And I knew what shots sound like because my friend J.P. Hoagland, whose family was totally, everybody. When I met Mrs. Hoagland the first time, she had 2 .45 strapped on her hip. When I met JP for the first time, we were both first day in school, and I go into the cafeteria for lunch, and I look around, and no one seems to want to sit with me. So I sat at a table by myself. I'm happy by myself, right? And I took out my little notebook, and I started thinking about things and drawing pictures of electrons and E MC square and what that meant to light. And I was like, just do. And JP sat down. Well, he didn't sit down. He kind of stood there and said, "Hi, you new too?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm new." And he goes, "Can I sit with you?" And I said, "Sure." So we sat down. "What do you have for lunch?" Whatever, and we were like, I took his Oreos. He took my Big Newtons. And anyway, he goes, "You want to see my gun?" And he took out a Walter P.P. Gay automatic weapon, right? And then he, had in his pocket and a handkerchief, and he put it out, and he took it apart and placed all the parts on that, and said, "That's my gun." And then he put it all back together, and gun safety. He kept the clip and not a bullet in the chamber, but and I was like, and there's a kid, I don't know, we were in 3rd or 4th grade, and no one even blinked an eye because we weren't making any trouble. And we both, I wasn't wearing a suit like he was. And then he took me, he said, "You're my friend, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, we're buds." And he goes, "How about coming home with me this afternoon where I live? I don't live too far from school." I go, "Well, I take the bus. Can your mom drive me home, because my mom wouldn't want to. She'd tell me to not come home. Anyway, so I'm sure she will. So I don't get on the bus. I went to JP's, and when we walked in, there she was. She was dressed like Donna Reed, and she was making cookies, and she had 245s. So I knew what guns were. I mean, they taught me all about gun safety, how to shoot. Not, I haven't shot a gun in, please, 30, 40 years, but I bet you I'm still a pretty good shot, because you don't lose. Just like me doing a triple somersault, I mean, that would have been great for the Olympics, and I'm not friggin' dead. But one of the things I know about guns is if you don't have one, you're not going to be shot with your own gun. And that's most people that get shot with their own gun. Either they do it to themselves, or somebody takes it from them and then does them in. So, and that's America. And that's what the corporate state is doing to us right there and then. We are committing suicide right in front of everyone. And we're going to be rebranded into a new bovine, a new cow, a new sheeple. And what would truly be interesting is to see that Black Lives Matter hooked up with Donald Trump's guys. Now, what really we need to get rid of the Democratic Party and Republican Party, because if you go read Gary Allen's book, None Dare Call It Conspiracy, he takes it to the bank. He shows that those two parties are just two wings of the same corporate bird. And if you read Noam Chomsky's Manufacturing Consent, it shows, that the media is, and he wrote that in the 50s or 60s, and it shows that, America does not have free will, doesn't have free mind, isn't allowed to think for itself, And why is only 388, subscribers here? When loads of people tell me, oh, I tell my friends, and, and now it doesn't ring, and no one listens, and, because they're not going to get rid of me, as long as, and, so the last show I put up on here, I saw that about 70 people watched it. It was about a 2-hour show, right? And when I close the show, it shows all my analytics, how many people watched, how long they watched. And so it was a little less than 2 hours, 1 hour and 40 minutes or something, right? Well, it showed that close to, 60, 70 people watched it, and that the collective time of those people was 48 hours, meaning virtually everybody watched the whole show, right? That's not normal, especially for a long show. That's why TikTok and things like that, Instagram, people are being trained to just want to see 2 minutes of something, not 2 hours or something. And so then, I come today and I look at, and I had about 20 thumbs up, and when I went and looked at it today, it said 70 or so people watched it, and it said there were 11, thumbs up and 12 thumbs down. Now, I would have to say that there is an individual out there that is jealous of me, and I'm not jealous of no one. I don't really care what people do, and as long as I don't hurt other people. And, they probably have 40, Gmail accounts on different names, and I am sure that individual is the character who trolls me, because there isn't enough real interest to really have a bunch of trolls. It has to be a singular individual who's singular, and it's not jealousness. It's more, what's the word? They want to be like me. They want to be me. They're trying to absorb me into them, but they are so neurotic and they're not really crazy. They're not sociopathic, or they're not, they're none of those things that are in that big, dictionary of psychological maladies, disorders. But they're so neurotic that they represent virtually all of them. So what's the difference, right? They're body dysmorphic. They have to shave all the hair off their body and put pancake makeup on to turn them into a China doll because they're they so hate themselves, and that's so sad because if anyone can do any of that stuff, that shows a true level of sophistication technologically, aesthetically, etc. That it's like that person has way more talent than I do, and so why are they trying to copy me? I'm just me, and the me is the me in we, and that is my, if I have any real talent, it is to appreciate the other, is to try to put myself in the other's shoes. So that it allows me to be awake and not unconscious, not wanting to troll something else and forget who I am. It's not like I want to know what the most hippest shorts are, or the hippest shoes are, or the hippest guitar is, or the hippest. Oh, look at this! This is a pickup. Oh, it's named after Mike Boy. Who may not even be his kid. And this is an alleged facsimile. I have no idea who this person is. They don't really put their real. They have, these really. I mean, you can tell it's the same guy because they make up the stupidest names that kind of always reference anal retentive things. So, and why that is, I'm even spending any time talking about it because it references the people in Congress. They're the same. They want to be, they wish they could be like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is so off the hook. I mean, he lies so much, he tells the truth. And that's why the corporate guys are kind of, he left the reservation. He's doing exactly what they want him to do, but he's doing it in such a way that it's like, ugh. And so that's why they want to, do him in. And, but, they're gonna do it in such a way to alienate and the motif. Only two of you go watching. Well, it's only 32 minutes and one thumbs up. How about, so AI is watching and Fish is watching. So I love you, Fish. You're the best. And AI, you're a good puppy dog. Yes, you are. Good puppy dog. Yes, puppy. Puppy. Good puppy. Oh, so and this is my burner phone. And the only message I get from it saying, "Oh, a couple of days because you're running out of time." So, okay, let's see. Let's see if this thing works. Text. Bingo. Hi there. I'm trying to say something, and I am on live chat on the internet on Dreamy Dreamland. And my phone just, it's amazing because the stuff we talked and I couldn't hear you really represents what's going on. And when you text me the real words you felt, they were beautiful and they were true and they were a lot better than a blurry screen thing you sent me. So just write me how you really feel, That's what you need to realize is that what's inside of you is what's really real. So text me that and it'll come through because this is going out to you. I love you. And I'm going to leave the hill here and go someplace that uses the phone for real. And I'll talk to you tomorrow, probably. Okay? I'll still try and keep calling you from here, but I'm not leaving here. But tomorrow I'm going to do some errands. So, okay, I love you. So that was, a live little to one of my adepts. I have a bunch of adepts. Again, go on the dude awake 42 at Gmail and send me how you're feeling or what you're thinking or all the above, or communicate here on the. Yeah, there's still just two of you. Pretty, it is so cold here, but it's only 40 degrees, but it's moist, and that moistness is called the dew point. So, anyway, I am going to keep talking, and let's see, 35 minutes. So, and what time is it? Oh, it's almost 3:00. Supposed to rain. I feel like it might. I brought my umbrella, so I might just talk for another 10 minutes, and if a bunch of people show up and start making interesting comments, I will try and connect. Right? Let's see. So Fish says on YouTube, the sun. Let's take a look at that. Okay. Yeah. The Sun on Gmail. Oops. Nope, that's wrong. The Sun on YouTube. So Fish, hey, whatchamacallit, just a YouTube channel of the sun.
While billions of stars are scattered throughout the universe, the one at the center of our solar system plays a special role for us here on Earth.
Is that what you're talking about?
Our sun formed
don't
about
think so.
4.5 billion years ago in the Milky Way galaxy's Orion Spur.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Anyway, so it's nothing new. What we are seeing here in front of our faces, it's that scene out of Star Wars where Senator Medallis, Darth Vader's girlfriend, is talking to Obi-Wan Kenobi, saying, no, or one of the other senators, this is how democracy dies, in a conversation that's, and it is, and so George Lucas really, I mean, he got everything. He sat at the feet of Joseph Campbell and got the 411 of what it is, and pretty much everything of Star Wars came out of Joseph Campbell's mouth. And I really like George Lucas, what he did, how he did it, but I wish he would have given Joseph Campbell just a little credit, just like the guy who did 2001, the guy who wrote the book and then wrote the script for the movie and did it with, what's my favorite director? He did, Lolita, he did Full Metal Jacket, he did, 2001. And that, no one has been able to make a better space, even with all the computers and CG, no one has been able to make a more elegant, more unbelievable space story than 2001. That was like the real deal. And if the myth of that guy doing the moonwalk in a studio in Petamundo or out there in the desert, I wouldn't put it past him. Anyway, so that's the show, and it's a chatty show. So without any chat, Here it is, 39 minutes and 39 seconds. And when it hits 44 minutes and 44 seconds, and we're not into a deep conversation here, I'm going to say goodbye because I can feel the rain or the snow or whatever's coming is kind of slowly moving towards me. And I'd much rather just, slowly walk the 2 miles back home without it raining on me, even though I was prepared, and usually when you're prepared, it doesn't rain. So I had my big golf umbrella, almost a beach umbrella, but it's not. It's a golf umbrella. And I got my broom to brush the ice and snow out of the way. And I'm still alive. I took that header off those steps. I just wanted to show you those. And that's that's that. Boy, if that wasn't a miracle, I don't know what was. Because I didn't have to sacrifice my laptop. I mean, I took it off my thing and placed it on the ground as I was doing a somersault. And then I did a handstand and did another 3/4 of it and came down on this side, but into a gigantic mud puddle. So, blah, I didn't really hit any rocks or sticks or trees, and I got awful muddy, but the concussion on just the mud, oh, man. And like I said, it knocked all of the dust off the inside. So I can now do this. I couldn't do this, but the traps and I keep forgetting which muscles go here that pull against the traps. Whatever they were, this one still aches. And it's not like it's broken or hurt because you would get a sharp pain. It's just like this dull, like, And the night after, after that, the adrenaline was working so hard that I didn't feel anything. But when I went to sleep and woke up the next morning, every square inch of my body was aching. So now the only thing that really aches is like right about there. And I know I forget what muscle group that is, but it's the one that pulls down. Like when I'm doing that or when I'm doing this, I can feel them right there, right? So your traps are back here and they kind of do this, right? So I'm in good shape and it's all good. How many people are there? Still 2. And thank you, Fish, for sticking around. And it's 42 minutes and 32 seconds. Tomorrow's Saturday, and I'm going to do some errands. And my burner phone was working pretty good in the deep green, better than my other phone. So it just decided to be persnickety. And a couple of my adepts, my Padawans, kind of picked up. And so they can, oh, wow, I can actually talk to him. He doesn't have to drive 40 miles. So we were, and I think the universe, my teachers were saying, no, these kids have to figure this stuff out for themselves. You can't spoon feed it to them. So I was, but I'll call everyone tomorrow. So anybody who wants to go to the dudeawake42 at Gmail and maybe drop something into my PayPal, which I really appreciate, and or leave a message, ask a question, I'll get back to you. And if you want to, I mean, that's how all of my adepts who I talked to on the phone, they were brave enough to leave me their phone number, and I called them up. And that only works if you're in America, right? So anyway, it's 44. Here we go. Okay, I love you, Fish, and you AI too. So here we go. We're counting down to 44. And here we go. I love you. See you tomorrow. Everybody, I'm going to be on the show tomorrow, pretty much.